If you are buying an AVR or home theater receiver, I strongly recommend that you buy one that has pre-outs. Now, if you don't know what pre-outs are, basically, from a high level, an AVR or receiver does two things. One, it processes the signal from your source material, whether it be a Blu-ray or streaming, whatever the source is, it takes that signal, it processes it. That's the first step. And then the second step is it amplifies the audio signal and sends it out to the speakers. So what pre-outs do is they give you the option of, instead of using the internal amplifier inside the AVR, you can bypass the internal amplifier and send out that processed signal to external amplifiers, like I have down here that you would have seen in my previous video where I unboxed these new Outlaw audio amplifiers that I have. So this is something that I always recommend to people. Buy a receiver that has pre-outs, even if you think you will never use external amplifiers. And the reason why is because you never know. You never know. The upgrade-itis bug is a very real thing when it comes to home theater. And when you catch that bug, you always want to be improving your system, and having that option of adding external amplifiers to your receiver, you'll be so glad they're there if you decide to take advantage of them. So that's a tip that I always give to people. Buy an AVR that has pre-outs. Now, typically, AVRs with pre-outs are a little more expensive. It's typical that the lower end AVRs, the cheaper AVRs, are the ones that don't have pre-outs, and you kind of have to step up a little bit to get one with pre-outs. But honestly, in this environment that we're in right now, you don't have to step up to a huge degree to get pre-outs. So I am in the process of building a tiny home theater here in this bedroom. Now, this will be video, I believe, number 5 in my build series. So if you haven't seen my previous videos about this build, definitely go check them out. And so in deciding what to put in my home theater, I had to make a decision as to what receiver I was going to use. And this is the Onkyo TX-RZ50. And this receiver has pre-outs, thankfully. And honestly, relatively speaking, it wasn't that expensive. I purchased this receiver online and I paid $900 for it. Now, $900 is a lot of money, but when you consider what you're getting with this receiver, it's actually a massive bargain. Right off the top, this receiver comes with Dirac Live, which is a room correction software program that is highly regarded. A lot of people swear by Dirac Live. I have never used Dirac Live previously, so I am excited to try this out on this receiver. This receiver will process up to 11 channels, which is good because here in this room, I am going to have 11 speakers, 11 channels. So I need all 11 of those channels to be processed. Now, if I were to use this receiver without external amplifiers, if I did not have these Outlaw audio amplifiers down here, if I did not have them, this receiver actually only has 9 channels of amplification. In order to get those extra 2 channels to make full 11, you have to add an external amplifier to at least those 2 extra channels. Now, in my case, I am using external amplifiers for all 11 channels. So this thing is going to be basically acting as a processor only. I will not be using any of the internal amplifiers in this receiver, which is a good thing because this receiver, it measures well on the processing side, but on the amplification side, One review in particular that I found on Audio Science Review, which is done by Amir, he found that the amplifiers, it was kind of technical, but basically there was the potential, if you pushed it too hard, to have the amplifiers basically limit the power output. Now, there are people who have commented on my previous build videos, and they've pointed out that they themselves have this exact receiver and they have not had any problem with it at all. So it's possible that the problem that Amir found is something that you only find in the lab and you put it under very stressful conditions, and you don't see that type of limiting under real world conditions. That's very possible. But me being the way I am, I like having external amplifiers. So regardless, I want external amplifiers paired up with this Onkyo TX-RZ50. And I am excited to get this thing plugged in. Now, as a kid, there are certain things that you get really excited for. And the big one is Christmas. You're so excited about presents. You're excited about what are you going to get, the anticipation of opening up your presents on Christmas morning. And then when you become an adult, those types of things just kind of fade away, and there's not really things that you get excited about in that same way. This is about as close as you get, as close as I get to that feeling of Christmas morning. I've got a brand new Onkyo receiver here, and I get to unbox it. I get to take it out of the packaging, and I get to open it up and plug it in and set it up, and I am beyond excited. The anticipation is killing me. So I'm going to get right into it. Let's get this thing opened up and check it out. Now, truth be told, this is actually the second TX-RZ50 that I have unboxed. I did a previous video where I did a home theater upgrade for someone, and they decided that they wanted to install the RZ50, and so I helped them in the process. And so this is actually the second one that I've opened up. But the excitement about this one is that this one is mine and not somebody else's. So I'm setting this up for me. So you've got the remote, pretty standard, pretty typical, nothing surprising there. Got little doodads, batteries for the remote. I love that they include. The antennas. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be tuning in to some AM channel on my TX-RZ50 for sure. No, I'm not. It also in here includes the puck mic. This is what you use to calibrate the audio using Dirac Live. The puck mic is included. However, I will not be using this puck mic. I have a UMic 1 that I will be using to do the calibration. Okay, power cable looks nice. It's a 2-prong power cable, not a 3-prong. So I assume it's grounded. I'm not sure. But that's basically all you get in the packaging, aside from the unit itself. So let's pull this thing out and check it out. Ah, that is pretty. That is pretty. I just can't get over what a good deal this thing is. This is an 11-channel AVR with Dirac Live included. It does not include Dirac bass control. You can purchase that additional and add it in, but it does include Dirac Live audio calibration, 11-channel processor. I bought this thing brand new from an authorized dealer, full warranty, $900. We are so spoiled. We are so spoiled today, and what we can get. This is just incredible. And then we'll take So let's take a look at this front of this unit. Okay, so it comes with some protective wrapping just to protect the face and everything, and to keep this door from damaging anything. So that's nice. You've got the volume button here, and then you have some input. You've got some input buttons here, so Blu-ray disc, gaming, streaming device, PC, auxiliary, etc. Probably won't be using those very much, but they are there, which is nice. And then you've got just some selector buttons here on the front. You got the power button. All right, let's take a look at the back of this unit. It's pretty heavy. I mean, it's not like prohibitively heavy. Like you can't, it's not like you can't pick it up, but it's pretty heavy. We've got here on the back the speaker connectors. So these are the all of the speakers where you would plug in if you were using the internal amplifier to drive your speakers. I am not, obviously, as I mentioned. I will instead will be using these pre-outs. So when I say buy a receiver with pre-outs, this is what you're looking for. These little RCA connectors, and there'll be one per speaker. And usually they're labeled pre-out right there. And then it also has multiple zones you could set up. Say you have speakers in other rooms and you're going to run those off external amplifiers. I won't be using any of that. I think most people don't use that. The multi-zones. I mean, I'm sure there's some that use them, but I think that's pretty rare. And then we have, I refer to them as legacy inputs. All of these RCA inputs for things like CD player and a TV, etc. Because I don't use any of those. The only inputs I use anymore are HDMI. So Apple TV, Blu-ray player, Zadoo, any of those are all going to go in via the HDMI inputs, of which there are 6 on this device. 6 HDMI inputs, and then we have 2 HDMI outputs. I will be using the main one that'll go to the TV. I won't be using a secondary output. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's pretty simple. In my external amplifier video, I mentioned that there's only one 12-volt trigger out on this, which is fine. I would have preferred if they had put 2. I have a processor in my dedicated home theater, and it has, I think, 3 12-volt trigger outs. So I have plenty to run all of my external amplifiers to trigger them to turn on when the receiver turns on. But I'll figure out something to get these connected up. Okay, so that is pretty much it. Oh, here, this is interesting. So it does come with an external ground. So it's only a 2-prong power cable, but it does have an external ground. So I may look at doing something with that where I connect that up because my external amplifiers also have external ground lugs. And so, yeah, I'll check on that, see if I want to do something with that. Okay, that is it. It does have a couple little antenna and an Ethernet port, of which I will use because I prefer to have all of my devices hardwired in. So we will do hardwired Ethernet connection for things like firmware upgrades, etc., so that it is connected to the internet. All right, let's get this thing connected up to the amplifiers. I'm excited. Anytime I am connecting or disconnecting speaker cables, RCA cables, XLR cables, any of those, I always make sure all of the equipment is unplugged from power. I don't have anything. Even if it were turned off, I just fully disconnect the power cables, just in case. So now I am at the point where I have all 11 speakers connected up to the amplifiers. The amplifiers are now connected to the Onkyo receiver, and everything is ready to roll. The only piece I have left to do is to connect up the subwoofer and then run the Dirac Live calibration program. And that's what I'm going to do in my next video. Thanks for watching.